Why are the Japanese quietly wealthy? Have you ever wondered, why is Japan, a country with an aging population, low birth rate, and almost no natural resources, still able to maintain lasting wealth across generations? No noise, no flash, no flashy Lamborghinis on the streets of Miami, and yet many Japanese quietly own their homes, have solid retirement savings, and even start investing early in life. Some Japanese families live comfortably on a single income, no debt, no impulse spending, and still they're able to pass on wealth to their children. So, what's their secret? Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors of all time, once shared, "Some of the richest and most successful people I know are Japanese, and what's fascinating is they didn't get wealthy through investment tricks, but through disciplined living and financial thinking that goes against most of the world." The truth is, while many Americans are still caught up in credit card debt and paycheck-to-paycheck survival, the Japanese have lived by a simple, time-tested financial system for centuries. They don't chase high income. They don't need risky investments to make it big. All they do is follow old-school principles which still work today. Here's the good news. You can learn these principles no matter where you live or how much you make. I used to believe wealth came from a high salary, wise investments, or just pure luck. But when I began studying how the Japanese think about and use their money, I realized wealth isn't about how much you make. It's about how you use, protect, and grow it sustainably. You could be renting a small apartment and driving an old car, and still be wealthy if you have the right mindset. You don't have to be an investment expert to build wealth. You need to apply the timeless lessons the Japanese have practiced for generations. In this journey, we'll explore 10 powerful financial secrets from Japan, principles that have helped them build quiet wealth without showing off or relying on luck. Each secret is like a puzzle piece in a bigger picture of financial wisdom. Some come from philosophy, some from consumer culture, others are how they teach kids about money, but all of them revolve around one key idea: master your money, or it will master you. And here's what I truly believe. If you apply just 2 or 3 of these principles, your financial life will start to shift. Not in a get-rich-quick way, but in a real, lasting way, solid, grounded, and free from chaos. This journey begins with something that sounds vague, because the most important asset the Japanese own isn't gold, real estate, or stocks. It's an invisible asset. Secret number 1, invisible assets, the true capital of the wealthy. Imagine losing every dollar in your bank account tomorrow. No house, no car, no stocks. What would you do to start over? Most people would feel hopeless, but not the Japanese, because they don't consider money in the bank to be their real capital. They truly invest in invisible assets, skills, relationships, reputation, and knowledge. And the best part? No one can take those away from them, not even a financial crisis. Japanese leaders who started over from zero, take Tadashi Yanai, for example, the billionaire founder of Uniqlo. Few know that before building Asia's biggest fashion empire, he faced a severe downturn when his first chain of stores struggled. But a few years later, he restructured everything, rebranded the business, and turned Uniqlo into a global phenomenon. He didn't start again with money. He started with a mindset, with the talented team he had built, his industry reputation, and lessons learned from failure. Those were his invisible assets that don't show up in your savings account, but they are worth 100 times more in the long run. My value came from job titles and salary. One day, I lost my job during a corporate restructure. That was when I realized what kept me afloat wasn't my employee badge. The friends referred me to new roles, the skills I could transfer to new industries, and the reputation I had built as someone trustworthy. Harvard confirms, invisible assets help you recover twice as fast. A Harvard study found that people with strong networks, solid reputations, and deep expertise recover financially twice as fast after a crisis as those relying only on material wealth. The Japanese have understood this for generations. In their culture, maintaining long-term relationships and personal honor is considered social capital, a type of asset that's hard to quantify but incredibly powerful. In America, it's common to leave a job and cut ties. In Japan, that's much harder, because every action affects your reputation and future partnerships. Invisible assets compound over time. Here's the amazing part. Invisible assets like skills, experiences, and relationships can compound in value, and they don't depreciate like cars or houses. Every course you take, every person you help, every lesson you learn from failure is a quiet investment that grows in the background. I once met a Japanese expert named Kazuo Inamori, founder of Kyocera, and the man who turned around Japan Airlines as CEO. He didn't mention money or tech when asked about his leadership secret. He said, "If you want your company to succeed, become the person others want to work with." Trust, integrity, and character, those were his invisible stocks, and he never sold them. Start building yours today. If you ask, "I don't have money, how can I build wealth?" This is your answer. Start by investing in yourself. Learn a new skill, keep your promises, share helpful content, support others. Every positive action is a brick in the house of your invisible assets. I once saw a friend lose everything in a failed business, but within just 3 months, he had a new job, new partners, and a plan to rebuild, all because of his reputation as someone kind, reliable, and generous. And you know what? Invisible assets aren't taxed. They don't rely on the market. They don't need a lot of capital, yet they can generate more return than the flashiest investments out there. Secret number 2, the Kakeibo method. Write it down to take control. Have you ever looked at your bank account at the end of the month and wondered, where did all my money go? You're not alone. Many people, even with decent income, live in a constant state of invisible shortage, simply because they don't know where their money flows. The Japanese have a straightforward yet remarkably effective method for solving this. It's called Kakeibo, which means household financial ledger. Developed in 1904 by Japanese journalist Motoko, Kakeibo isn't a fancy tech app, it's just a notebook. But don't let that humble appearance fool you. Its effectiveness has stood the test of over a century. The power of handwriting. The power of awareness. Unlike swiping a card or scrolling through your bank statement, writing down each expense by hand forces you to pause and reflect. Do I need this? Am I spending money or burning it? I tried using Kakeibo for 30 days and was shocked to discover that over 20% of my spending was unnecessary, mainly from a habit of browsing Shopee to relax. By simply writing things down daily, I saved nearly 3 million VND a month without ever feeling like I had to tighten my belt. A study in Japan found that people who use Kakeibo save 35% more on average than those who use finance apps. Why? Because the act of writing things down triggers a sense of wallet pain that cashless payments often numb. How Kakeibo works. The system revolves around 4 simple questions. How much money do you have? How much do you want to save? What are you spending on? What can you improve to save more? Each month you begin by writing down your total income and saving goals. Then you categorize all expenses into 4 buckets: needs, food, housing, wants, shopping, entertainment, culture and education, books, courses, unexpected, car repairs, medical bills. I once spoke with Tetsuya Ishikawa, a Japanese creative director based in Tokyo. Despite earning tens of thousands a month, he still writes every expense by hand each night. When I asked why he didn't just use an app, he smiled and said, "Kakeibo keeps my mind sharp. Money is just a tool. If you don't control it, it will control you." Writing to see. Yourself. Kakeibo isn't just about tracking expenses, it's a mirror reflecting your values. Spending 500,000 VND on dinner with friends? That's an investment in relationships. spending 500,000 VND on 3 random items you can't recall a week later? That's a liability. Daily journaling helps you uncover the financial habits shaping your life. Instead of saying, "I lack discipline," you begin to see behavioral patterns like, "Oh, I tend to buy random things whenever I'm stressed." From notebook to financial freedom. The best part? You can start Kakeibo today with a blank notebook and a pen. No fancy tools, no complex financial know-how. Just 5 minutes a day to gradually reclaim control over your money, understand your habits, and, ultimately, gain more freedom to choose how you live. Key takeaway: saving doesn't start with how much money you have. It starts with awareness in every dollar you spend. Doi jai la ban dich tieng an qua fan chat. Bimat nakatri. Chungia toi gian tai chin. Song it. Gyaun hiu. Juok chuyen nguteo fong kach storytelling sausak. Mang ting tan tai chin. Nhat ban va triet li song toi gian. Secret number 3. Financial minimalism. Own less, live richer. Have you ever felt that the emptier you feel, the more you buy? The more things you own, the more it seems like you never have enough. If the answer is yes, you're not alone. That's the trap of modern consumerism, where self-worth is measured by what we display to others. But the Japanese chose a different path. They don't chase material abundance, but pursue inner sufficiency. And the secret lies in a philosophy called danshari, a unique form of financial minimalism. Danshari, the art of saying no. Dan means refusing things you don't need. Shar is eliminating what no longer serves a value. Ri is resisting the temptation of future consumption. It may sound harsh, but it's a gentle, intentional way of living. The Japanese don't want to live poorly. They save to live selectively. They don't live with less. They live better. Take Japanese author and organizing guru Marie Kondo, who wrote The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. She once said, "Every item you own should spark joy. If not, it's draining your energy." That wisdom doesn't just apply to your home, but also to your money. Financial minimalism, not starving but spending consciously. A Japanese friend of mine, Hiroshi Nakamura, an architect and real estate investor, once told me, "I don't save money by drinking cheap coffee. I save by not buying a $300 coffee machine I'll get bored with in a month." To the Japanese, every yen should serve a purpose. Instead of owning 10 mediocre shirts, they buy 2 excellent ones. Instead of upgrading phones yearly, they use them until performance can no longer support their needs. And it's no coincidence that Japan has one of the highest savings rates in the world, while still enjoying comfortable lives. Why? Because they lead their spending habits. They don't let spending habits lead them. True wealth isn't in things. A study in Tokyo found that the average Japanese household owns less than 30% of the possessions an average American family does, yet they report twice as much financial satisfaction. I once visited the home of legendary animator Hayao Miyazaki, creator of Spirited Away. His house had no expensive gadgets, no luxury brands, not even a fancy desk, just plain wood. But everything was placed intentionally, tidy, calm, thoughtful, just like his films. That's when I realized, wealth isn't about owning more. It's about knowing what's enough. Cost per use, the Japanese formula for long-term value. One powerful concept from Japanese minimalism is cost per use, calculating value based on usage frequency. For example, a $40 shirt worn 100 times, or 40 cents per use. 3 $10 shirts worn thrice before fading, do over $3 per use. By this logic, cheap can be expensive. I applied this thinking when buying a $90 travel backpack. It felt like a luxury at first, but it's still strong and reliable 3 years later, and it has replaced 3 poorly made bags. Actual value isn't in the price tag. It's in long-term satisfaction. The journey begins with truth. If you want to try financial minimalism, start by auditing your spending. For the next 30 days before each purchase, ask yourself, will this improve my life? Can I invest this money in something longer lasting? Will I still want this a month from now? If 2 out of 3 answers are no, walk away. Redirect that money towards saving or investing. Closing thought. Financial minimalism isn't about rejecting comfort. It's about eliminating the things that make you spend money without becoming happier. The Japanese don't live in poverty. They live smart. And the result? They build wealth without noise. They accumulate without pressure. Secret number 4, saying no to consumer debt. In America, there's a financial habit deeply ingrained in the culture. Buy now, pay later, through credit cards. Shopping is today's pleasure. Payment is tomorrow's problem. But in Japan, this mindset is the fastest road to losing control of your finances. According to statistics, the average US household carries over $7,000 in credit card debt, with interest rates soaring up to 20% per year. In contrast, only about 18% of Japanese transactions are made with credit cards. Most people still use cash or debit cards. Why such a stark difference? Consumer debt, false freedom, real chains. The Japanese have a powerful saying, debt is the heaviest burden one can carry. To them, borrowing money for consumption, to fund a temporary lifestyle, is no different from selling off your future. I once asked Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of Super Mario, about his spending philosophy. He smiled and said, "I only spend money when I know I won't regret it, and I never spend money I haven't earned yet." That's not extreme frugality, that's unshakable financial discipline, a stone wall that protects Japanese wealth, even when the rest of the world is drowning in debt. Installments, the silent killer of wealth. It's easy to fall for the trap. Only $20 per month, that's nothing. But when you add up that new phone, the TV, vacation flights, and designer bags, your small payments become a big pile of debt. Worse, compounding interest quietly eats away at your financial foundation. That $400 purchase, it becomes $480 over 12 months, simply because you didn't wait to save first. The Japanese don't spend money based on emotional impulses. They ask themselves, can I live without this item? Can I pay for it in full, not in debt? Will this bring lasting happiness or just a short thrill? The psychological power of cash. In Japan, cash is still king. And no, it's not because they're behind the times. It's because cash spending creates a real sense of loss. A study from MIT found people spend 18% less when paying with cash than using credit cards. When you physically pull money from your wallet and see it disappear, your brain takes it more seriously. Credit cards, on the other hand, disconnect us emotionally from money, making it feel like a game. I tried the cash challenge, withdrawing a fixed budget weekly and using only cash. The results surprised me. I spent less, became more conscious of what I bought, and even had leftover savings at the end of the month. No financial app worked as well. In Japan, debt is the last resort, not the first option. If someone admits they have consumer debt in Japan, it often elicits surprise or concern. Why? Because it signals you're living beyond your actual means. That's also why many Japanese families pass down wealth, not debt, to their children. A great example is Tadashi Yanai, founder of Uniqlo and the wealthiest man in Japan. Despite his fortune, he teaches his children to live with discipline and never to use personal debt to finance a lavish lifestyle. In an interview, he once said, "Consumer debt is the fastest way to lose control of your life." A lesson for you and me. If you've ever thought, it's just a few small monthly payments, what's the harm? Think again. Each consumer debt is a chain around your financial freedom, and the Japanese have proven you don't need debt to live well. Try these changes. Buy with the money you have, not the money you borrow. Delay 30 days before any big purchase. Use credit cards only in real emergencies. You don't need a black card to be rich. You need freedom from debt, and that starts with knowing when to say no. Secret number 5, teaching kids about money. to build generational wealth. In America, it's common to hear, "Let kids enjoy their childhood. Money is for adults to worry about." But in Japan, the belief is different. How you teach a child to manage 1,000 yen today could determine whether they'll build 100 million yen tomorrow. Financial thinking in Japan doesn't begin after college or at the first job. It begins in elementary school, or even earlier. And the key to building lasting wealth across generations lies in one core habit. Money education is a fundamental part of raising a child. Japanese kids learn finance from age 5. In many traditional Japanese households, kids as young as 5 are given 3 jars. Spend for immediate needs or wants. Save for bigger purchases shortly. Invest. Untouched money for long-term growth. This 3-jar system may seem simple, but it instills a lifelong habit of disciplined money allocation, a skill many adults in other countries never learn. I remember my first trip to Japan. I met a 7-year-old girl named Aiko. When given 1,000 yen, she calmly divided it. 300 yen for a toy, 400 yen into her savings jar, and 300 yen into her investment jar for books or learning. No one forced her to do it. It was a habit built through weekly family money talks around the dinner table. In the US, kids are given money. In Japan, they learn to earn. Japanese parents rarely hand out money without conditions. They don't pay children for doing chores because that's their responsibility. But they will reward them when they learn a new skill. They create real value, like helping a neighbor or selling unused items. They complete tasks with a clear outcome. This teaches kids that money doesn't come from existing, but from the value you create. Masayoshi, son, billionaire founder of SoftBank, once shared a childhood story. His father made him sell homegrown vegetables at the local market. Through that, he learned a powerful truth. To earn money, you must create value, and value comes from understanding what others need. Teaching kids to invest sounds early, but it's real. By age 10, many Japanese kids are introduced to money-making money. Parents use simple examples. If you keep 1,000 yen in a box, after 1 year, it's still 1,000 yen. But if you give it to mom and dad with 5% interest, it becomes 1,050 yen. They teach basic savings, government bonds, and index funds from there. No complex strategies, no hype, just planting the seed of long-term investing. Every yen spent is a lesson. Learned Japanese parents allow their kids to spend. They let them experience it and reflect on it. When a child buys a low-quality toy, instead of scolding, they ask, "Do you still enjoy this toy? How long did it take before you got bored with it? If you could buy again, would you make the same choice?" These questions help children analyze the cost of spending, forming the habit of mindful consumption, not emotional expenditure. A lesson I wish I learned earlier. I grew up in a household where money was never discussed. I blew it all in 2 weeks when I got my first paycheck. Only years later did I realize the issue wasn't how little I earned. I lacked financial thinking. If I had learned like Japanese kids about saving, the value of labor, and long-term investing, my path might have been far less bumpy. Teaching kids about money is giving them freedom. In Japan, money isn't treated as taboo or dirty. It's seen as a neutral tool that must be taught. Because they understand, teaching your kids about money isn't to make them rich right away. It's to ensure they never stay poor. If you're a parent, start today. Please don't wait until they turn 18. Give them 3 jars. Talk about money like you talk about school, because every conversation today is a step toward their freedom tomorrow. Secret number 6, saving together. The Japanese Tanomoshi system. In Japan, managing personal finances is not just an individual responsibility, it's also deeply rooted in the collective spirit. One of Japan's most effective, long-standing and culturally unique savings practices is called Tanomoshi, a rotating savings system within a small, trusted group. It's more than just a financial tool, it's a symbol of trust, discipline, and mutual support. What is Tanomoshi? Tanomoshi is a community-based savings group where each member contributes a fixed monthly amount into a rotating fund. Each round, the whole pot is given to one member, based on a pre-agreed schedule. The cycle continues until everyone has received their share. Example, 10 people each contribute Y 10,000 per month. Every month, one person receives Y 100,000. After 10 months, everyone has received it once. The group can then choose to repeat or end the cycle. A practice rooted in history and culture. Tanomoshi dates back to the Edo period, 1603–1868, and was especially common in rural areas and among working-class communities. Before Japan had a modern banking system, Tanomoshi was a powerful grassroots method that helped people build savings with discipline, handle significant expenses like weddings, home repairs, or education support each other during hardship. Even today, with advanced banking systems, Tanomoshi still thrives in neighborhoods, small businesses, and even corporations as a way to build both financial strength and social trust. Why does Tanomoshi work so well? 1. Strong commitment through group pressure. Being part of a Tanomoshi group creates natural financial discipline. Members feel a sense of responsibility, not just for themselves, but for the whole group. Unlike saving alone through an app, there's real accountability. 2. No interest earned. But interest-avoided Tanomoshi doesn't generate profits like stock investments. However, it saves participants from relying on credit cards or high-interest loans, thus protecting them from financial stress and compounding debt. 3. Makes big goals achievable. Saving alone for a significant goal, like tuition or home repairs, can be tough. However, in a Tanomoshi group, it becomes possible thanks to shared commitment and structured rotation. 4. Strengthens trust and social bonds. More than money, Tanomoshi builds reputation and honor. The entire system runs on trust. No contracts, no collateral, just personal integrity. That's deeply aligned with the Japanese value of collective responsibility. Even companies use Tanomoshi. Tanomoshi isn't limited to families or neighborhoods. Some Japanese companies have adopted it internally to support their employees. Workers contribute to a shared pool and use funds based on agreed needs. This boosts both financial wellness and team spirit in the workplace. Some larger corporations have even started Tanomoshi bonuses, group savings for vacations, family events, or joint learning retreats. How can you start your Tanomoshi? You don't need an app or investment expertise. All it takes is a group of people with shared financial goals and a clear commitment, one coordinator to track contributions, transparent rules for rotation and timelines, trust, discipline, and communication. Because of its simplicity and power, Tanomoshi has survived for centuries and still plays a key role in how many Japanese build wealth quietly, together. Secret number 7, spending smart, not saving at any cost. The Japanese are famous for being frugal, but here's the twist. They're not extreme about saving. They're masters of spending right, intentionally, and wisely. And that's the 7th secret behind Japan's quiet path to wealth. Strategic spending, not constant sacrifice. Spending is not the enemy. A common myth is that becoming wealthy means cutting every expense to the bone. But in reality, obsessive saving can lead to burnout, stress, and even financial backfires. The Japanese understand that the problem isn't how much you spend, it's what you spend on. There's a beautiful word in Japanese culture, mottainai. It roughly translates to don't waste, but it goes beyond physical goods. It applies to money, time, and effort. If something doesn't bring real value, even cheap, it's still a waste. Value over price. Instead of chasing deals or hoarding cheap goods, the Japanese often follow a different principle, cost per use. For example, they're willing to spend $200 on a high-quality pair of shoes that will last 5 years, rather than buying 5 $40 pairs that fall apart in months. This is more than long-term saving. It's intelligent spending, choosing quality over quantity, choosing usefulness over impulse, and asking the simple question, will this improve my life in a meaningful way over time? The three questions. Before every purchase. In Japan, it's common for people to pause and reflect before making non-essential purchases. They ask, does this improve the quality of my life? Can I find a similar option at a lower price? Will I still want this 30 days from now? If the answer is no, they delay or cancel the purchase. This intentional pause protects them from impulse decisions, one of modern life's most significant causes of overspending. Spend less, live more. Walk into a typical middle-class Japanese home, tidy, minimalist and peaceful, not because they're poor, not because they're stingy, but because they understand a simple truth. Sufficiency comes from selectivity, not accumulation. A recent study showed that people who spend with intention, not necessarily less, experience lower financial stress and higher life satisfaction, regardless of income level. Why? Because they use money as a tool to serve their lives, not to prove something to others. Redefining wealth. To the Japanese, being rich doesn't mean owning more. It means living light, living freely, and living without dependency. That calm, deliberate spending style is what helps them stay debt-free, preserve financial freedom, focus on what truly matters: health, time, and relationships. In other words, smart spending is how they invest in a valuable life, not a flashy one. The final reminder. This is secret number 7. And it's not about spending less, it's about spending better. You don't need to cut every cost, you need to make each expense count. That's how the Japanese stay quietly wealthy without ever looking like they're trying. Secret number 8. The envelope method. Simple, hands-on, and powerfully effective. In today's digital world, where most people rely on budgeting apps, Excel spreadsheets, or credit cards, the Japanese still embrace a method that seems outdated: managing money with physical envelopes, known as shunyu bukuro. But don't underestimate this approach. Its effectiveness has been proven over generations in Japan, a country with one of the highest household savings rates in the world. And if you've ever struggled with overspending or feeling disconnected from your finances, this might be the old-school but razor-sharp tool you need. Deceptively simple. The envelope method is refreshingly straightforward. You divide your monthly income into physical paper envelopes, each one dedicated to a specific spending category, like rent, groceries, transport, savings, entertainment, education, etc. Once an empty envelope, you stop spending in that category until the next payday. No borrowing from other envelopes, no exceptions. This quiet discipline is precisely what makes it work so well. A study by Kyoto University found that families using this method saved 25 to 30% more per month than those who relied on digital budgeting apps. Why? Because cash is visible and emotional. You feel the value and the loss when you part with it, unlike a few mindless taps on your phone. From humble households to humble billionaires, you might think this method is for low-income households or tech-averse homemakers. But look at Kazuo Inamori, founder of Kyocera and the man who rescued Japan Airlines from bankruptcy. Despite being one of Japan's wealthiest individuals, Inamori followed an extraordinarily disciplined and manual approach to money management. In his autobiography, he shared how he divided his cash every month into envelopes for each spending category and personally took money out of each one when needed. To him, this wasn't just budgeting, it was a ritual of self-discipline and respect for money. Inamori believed, if you cannot control the small things, you'll never master the big decisions. And that's exactly how Japan's middle class became quietly and sustainably wealthy. How to start today? You don't have to be Japanese to adopt this. Just follow these steps. Calculate your monthly income. Divide it into fixed spending categories, for example, housing, 30–35% food, 10–15% transport, 10% savings, 20% entertainment, personal, 10% miscellaneous, 5%. Label physical envelopes for each category. Spend only from each designated envelope. No borrowing ahead from others. Try it for at least 30 days, and you'll likely notice something magical. You start spending less, not because you're forcing yourself, but because you can see the money leave, and you become more mindful of each expense. One simple habit. Many powerful outcomes. The envelope method doesn't just help you control spending, it also creates a physical connection to money, builds personal discipline, helps avoid credit card debt, makes it easier to review and rebalance your monthly budget, instills long-term saving habits. And the best part, anyone can do it. No complex apps, no financial expertise required. When technology makes money invisible, the Japanese make it visible again. In a world where money has become intangible, Japan teaches us how to make it visible, tangible, and respected. And in that simplicity lies the foundation of true wealth. Secret number 9, slow and steady investing. Don't chase the hype. While many Americans rush into investing frenzies, crypto booms, meme stocks, real estate flipping, the Japanese take a different path. Slow, consistent, and patient investing. Their philosophy doesn't focus on getting rich quick, but instead of building wealth gradually without losing sleep over market swings. Many Japanese families accumulate substantial wealth without high salaries or taking significant risks. You don't need to be smarter than the market, just more consistent. A survey by Mizuho Bank revealed that over 70% of Japanese retail investors follow a dollar-cost averaging strategy, regularly investing small amounts into index funds like the Nikkei 225 or MSCI World. Instead of timing the market, they invest the same monthly amount, regardless of UPS or downs. The benefits? Reduces the risk of buying high and selling low, takes emotion out of investing decisions, harnesses the power of compounding over time. A real example, Shinzo Abe and the power of patience. The late Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, father of the Abenomics economic policy, was not only a macroeconomic reformer, but also a firm believer in personal financial discipline. Despite his access to insider knowledge and national power, he didn't chase risky investments. Instead, he chose stable dividend stocks, income-generating real estate, and index funds. He once said, "I don't need large short-term gains. I need assets that are still intact 30 years from now." Proof that even at the highest levels, slow investing wins. 3 Japanese investing principles. Understand before you invest. If you can't explain your investment to a 10-year-old, you shouldn't invest your money. Only invest surplus money. The Japanese rarely borrow to invest. If the money keeps you up at night, it's not money you should invest. Choose cash flow or stable assets. They favor dividend-paying stocks, rental real estate, and index funds, not get-rich-quick schemes or hype-driven trends. Final thought. In Japan, investing isn't a race. It's a long journey where the winner isn't the fastest, but the most consistent. Instead of asking, "What should I buy today?" ask yourself, "Can I hold this asset for the next 10 years? Because to the Japanese, a good investment is one you can forget about and still sleep well. Remember, sometimes slow is the fastest route if you're heading in the right direction. And discipline, not speed, is what truly builds lasting wealth. Secret number 10. Quiet wealth. Silence is golden. Have you ever noticed that the wealthiest people in Japan rarely show off? No flashy cars, no extravagant mansions, no social media flaunting of luxury lifestyles. Instead, they live modestly, quietly, all while building and protecting a deep foundation of sustainable wealth over the years. The Japanese call this quiet wealth, and it may be the final but most powerful secret of them all. True wealth needs no proof. In Western culture, success is often defined by visible symbols, luxury cars, designer watches, exotic vacations. But in Japan, wealth isn't something to prove. It's something to preserve, sustain, and pass on. According to the Nomura Research Institute, Japan has over 3.6 million USD millionaire households, yet most live humbly, driving Toyotas, eating at home and wearing simple clothes. They don't need others to know they're rich, because their focus is on staying rich quietly, not looking rich publicly. Real example, Tadashi Yanai, the billionaire minimalist. Tadashi Yanai, founder of Uniqlo and one of Japan's wealthiest men, it is the perfect example of quiet wealth. If you saw him on the street, you probably wouldn't recognize him. He wears simple clothes, drives an ordinary car, and lives in a modest home. In interviews, he once said, "I don't spend money to make others think I matter. I invest in what helps me create long-term value." This isn't just a personal statement, it reflects a deep-rooted financial philosophy in Japan. Showing off is the enemy of saving. Why silence is golden, less temptation, less pressure. When you're not performing for others, you spend less to maintain an image, making saving and investing easier. Financial safety. People who flash wealth are often hit hardest during crises. In contrast, those who stay quiet can preserve their fortune through generations. Focus on what truly matters. Quiet wealth allows focus on what lasts: health, family, contribution, rather than chasing material validation. Final thought. The Japanese don't need others to know they're rich, because they understand. Wealth isn't something to flaunt, it's something to protect. In a world obsessed with appearances, doing the opposite might be your most significant advantage. Learn from the Japanese, stay silent, and let your wealth speak for itself in the long run. Will you show off wealth or build it? We've just uncovered 10 powerful financial secrets from the Japanese, a nation admired for building sustainable wealth, even without sky-high incomes, not through luck, not through risky investments, but through quiet, disciplined, and long-term financial thinking. From invisible assets and Kakeibo to minimalist living, saying no to debt, teaching kids about money, community saving, smart spending, the envelope method, slow and steady investing, and finally, quiet wealth. Each secret is a solid brick in building true financial freedom without noise. But in the end, the choice is yours. Showing off wealth, easy but fragile. Today, it's easy to confuse success with appearances, a luxury watch, a sleek car, a fancy house. On social media, it takes a few photos for others to think you're wealthy. But true wealth isn't what others see, it's what you quietly keep. The biggest trap is spending more just to look rich. The more you spend, the further you drift from freedom. Showing off wealth is a temporary performance. Building wealth is a lifelong commitment. Building wealth, slow but solid. The Japanese understand, wealth doesn't come from high income, it comes from how you use your money. They choose disciplined saving, long-term investing, and simple living, so that wealth grows quietly over time. When you build in silence, without the pressure to impress, you gain financial flexibility, mental peace, and the power to help others, without needing validation. Building wealth won't make you instantly popular, but it will keep you standing when others collapse. The final question. So, what will you choose? A car that turns heads for 5 seconds, or an investment account that keeps your family secure for life? A lifestyle designed to get attention, or a journey designed to leave lasting value? The Japanese didn't become wealthy by trying to impress anyone. They built a foundation no one noticed until it was too late to catch up. You don't have to be Japanese to learn from their wisdom. You have to start today with one simple decision. Will you show off wealth or build it? If this video shifted your perspective on money and gave you real value, please hit like and subscribe. It motivates me to create even more powerful content every day. Your engagement doesn't just grow this channel. It helps spread meaningful financial knowledge to more people. Thank you so much for watching.